Finally, we're going to do the neuro exam. You're going to start with the level of consciousness, but we have already done this, so you're just going to state that I have assessed the patient's level of consciousness and I have found him to be alert and oriented ×3. You're also would be assessing his cognition here, and you're just going to say that the patient follows commands appropriately and that his speech is clear and articulate, which it's been, and that his motor function, you have found all his voluntary movements have been smooth and appropriate. And now I'm just going to check his wrist strength again. So just squeeze as hard as you can in both hands. Great, perfect. So he has a nice symmetrical and strong hand grasp, which you're going to see a lot in the hospital. So now we're going to assess his motor function as well as his cerebellum and his balance. Balance, movement, and cerebellar function. So the first thing that we're going to ask Mr. Moore to do is just walk towards me. And he has a nice smooth gait with an appropriate alternating arm swing. And now he's going to turn around and walk on his toes. Very good. Now turn around and walk to me on your heels, please. That's great. Perfect. Try to stay in a straight line. Now you're going to do the tandem walk. So you're going to look up at me. Look straight across. You can put your hands out if you need to. And then heel to toe. Perfect. Fantastic. Okay. So that is all the gait. Now we're going to have you do a heel to shin test. So you're just going to hang on somewhere. Great. You can have your patient do this in a seated position too. So he's going to start up at his knee. He's going to run his heel all the way down the front of his shin. And then he's going to do the other side. And he has an excellent knee to shin movement. And now he's going to do a little quarter squat for the shallow knee bend. Fantastic. That's great. Now he's going to do rapid alternating movements. So he's going to put his arms out to the side, and he's going to touch his nose. I'm sorry, close your eyes first, and then touch your nose, and then bring it away, and then bring your other hand over. Now do that as fast as you possibly can. So you can do this for rapid alternating movements, or, okay, you can stop. Or you can put the patient's hands on their lap, and you're going to flip your hands over into supination and then back to pronation and back to supination, and then go as fast as you can. So you can do one or the other. And now we're going to do something called finger to nose. So he's going to come to the side here. Beautiful. Okay. So with your eyes open, you're going to take your right forefinger and put it on your nose. And then you're going to put it on my finger. Great. And then bring it back to your nose. And now you're going to bring it to my finger and back to your nose. And then back to my finger, back to your nose, back to my finger, and back to your nose. Now we're going to do it a little faster. Are you ready? So back to my finger, back to your nose, finger to nose, finger to nose, back to your nose, back to your nose.
Do I have to look at you, or can I look at
You can look at your finger.
Okay.
Okay, great. Now we're going to switch hands. So same thing here, and here, and here, and crossing the midline. Great. Now we're going to do that a little faster. Here, here, here. Oh, back over here. Good. Excellent. Okay. And now we're going to do the Romberg test. So for this test, Mr. Moore is going to face the camera. I am going to be right beside him because this is a balance test. And if he had poor balance, I would want to be on his weaker side. So for this one, he's going to shut his eyes, put his hands down by his side, and his feet should be fully together. Great. And now he's going to stand here for 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Excellent. You can open your eyes. He is demonstrating a negative Romberg test because he did not excessively sway to either side, nor did he lose his balance. He stayed in an upright position with just a very gentle sway. So that is a negative Romberg test. Now I'm going to have you sit down. Now we're going to do a couple of fun things. So the first test is the stereognosis test. This one, you're going to close your eyes, and I'm going to give you two familiar objects, and you're going to tell me what they are in each hand. So just hang on to that. Tell me what that is.
A credit card.
Very well. And then here.
A coin.
Very well. Perfect. You're perfect in every way. Okay. Now I'm going to do the graphesthesia test, and I'm going to write a letter or a number in your hand, and you're going to identify that. You ready?
1, 3.
Perfect. Now we're going to do some other sensory tests. This one is called sharp and dull, and you've already done some of this on the face, but now we're going to move down and do this on the arms, the hands, the legs, and the feet. You could also do a vibration test using a tuning fork on the face and the rest of the body's bony prominences, but we are not going to do that. So for this test, the sharp and dull, he's going to keep his eyes closed, and he's going to identify whether he feels a sharp or a dull sensation or no sensation. Okay?
Soft. Dull. Sharp.
Mm-hmm.
Soft. Sharp. Soft. Soft.
Great. Now I'm going to move down to your legs. So I would just do 3 spots. Upper arm, lower arm, and be sure that you do the fingers. Now we're going to do your legs. You ready?
Yes. Sharp. Sharp. Dull. Sharp. I see dull. Sharp.
Great. Excellent. So he has full sensation to sharp and dull. Now lastly, we're going to do the deep tendon reflexes. Starting with the bicep tendon, I'm going to take my forefinger and I'm going to press on the bicep tendon. He's going to look away, and I'm going to tap with an arcing movement of my reflex hammer, and we'll see what we get here. We see a little bit of flexion of the forearm. Good. And a little bit of flexion of the forearm here. Now we're going to do the triceps. I like to do both at once and then move on to the next spot. So I want him to be totally relaxed. I'm going to tap on the tricep tendon, and we should see a little bit of forearm extension. Good. And then same thing here. Great. And then we're going to do the brachioradialis. So you're just going to tap over next to the radial bone. We should see a little bit of flexion. And a little bit of flexion there. Good job. Okay, now we're going to move on to the patella. So for the patella reflex, you want to feel down the patella till you feel this little notch right here. You're going to tap there, and we should see a little bit of extension. And then same thing here. We should see a little bit of extension of the leg. And lastly, we're going to do the Achilles tendon. So for the Achilles, I use the flat side of the reflex hammer. You put the foot into dorsiflexion. That leg should stay nice and relaxed. Tap here, and you should see a little plantar flexion, which we just did. Thank you. And then same thing here. Just relax your foot. Let me do all the work. Tap on the Achilles tendon, and you should see a little bit of plantar flexion. And the last thing that we're going to do is the Babinski sign. So if you could just kick your shoes off for me. Sorry about that.
All right.
So for the Babinski sign, we're going to bring Mr. Moore's foot up. You're going to go up the lateral side and then around the front. And you should see a little bit of flexion of the toes. And then same thing here. Actually, this is now called the plantar reflex. And you should see a little bit of flexion of the toes. Normally, what you don't want to see is extension of the toes, and we kind of didn't see much of anything, but that's also okay. And that concludes